You've probably heard people talk about quitting drinking as a journey. It's a learning experience, and along the way, we learn so many valuable lessons. Lessons about ourselves, lessons about the people around us, lessons about what we love, what we don't like, how to set boundaries. We never stop learning when we stop drinking. And the fact is that when we keep drinking, it blocks us from learning those lessons. We don't allow ourselves the ability to move forward. And in this video, I want to share with you 7 lessons that I learned after I stopped drinking. The first big lesson that I learned after I quit alcohol was that community is everything. There's some amazing alcohol-free communities, and previously my community had been people who drank, people who encouraged the same behaviour, the behaviour that was actually destroying my life. When I started to find sober communities and connect with people who were on the exact same journey as me, it made a massive difference. I felt like I wasn't alone. I felt like I had support around me. I could encourage other people and share my own experiences to help them on their own path to freedom from alcohol. So community was massive for me, and many of those people I've gone on to form amazing friendships with. I've met them in person and our relationships have developed. It's been an incredible experience and so wonderful to make friends where alcohol is not at the centre of the show. The second lesson I learned in the early stages after I quit is that sometimes you can get fed up thinking about sobriety the whole time, talking about not drinking the whole time. And I think it's important to cultivate a sense of self-awareness. Now, don't get me wrong, it's important that you focus on not drinking and learning all about the best ways to quit. And that can mean that it's on your mind a lot, but that can be slightly overwhelming and it can be draining at times. So it's essential to allow yourself some space. Personally, I found that the best strategy was to have another goal to work towards alongside quitting drinking. What worked for me was entering a marathon that was 6 months after I quit drinking. So I also had that to focus on. It gave me something else to think about, something else to work towards. So I wasn't constantly thinking about sobriety and talking about it the entire time. It was just 98% of the time. But just notice, pay attention, and if you find that it's getting overwhelming and you're talking about it and thinking about it a bit too much where it's starting to feel draining, then perhaps look at some mindfulness exercises. Take some time to meditate, use your journal, think about what you really need in those moments. Maybe it's just a walk in nature or to connect with a friend and talk about something aside from sobriety. That said, it is important to concentrate on it. It is important to keep it front of mind, but it shouldn't get to a stage where it feels completely overwhelming. I also learned that it can be difficult not having an off switch. Most of the people I work with through my one-to-one sobriety coaching and in my quit drinking program find that they're the same. They're kind of all or nothing and they don't have an off switch. Now, when you mix that with alcohol, it can be a dangerous combination. But actually, if we can find the right coping mechanisms, the things that we really need in those moments when perhaps our emotions are becoming too much or we feel really down, then it can be a wonderful thing to tap into. We can know what we need and we can go and get it. So when you know that you don't have an off switch, it's important to learn actually how to switch off, how to still your mind in those challenging moments. For me, walks in nature, meditation, taking time for myself, knowing when I need to connect with other people has been absolutely essential. These days, I pay attention to how I really feel, and then I look at what I really need. And I know that I never need alcohol. Alcohol is never the solution. Whereas when I was drinking, it was always the solution. Yet it caused more problems. It caused more damage. There was only ever negative consequences. The fourth lesson that I learned was that I'm not perfect with or without alcohol. But now, without alcohol in my life, I'm able to like myself a whole lot more. I wouldn't say I'm at a point where I love myself yet. I think that's a goal to keep working towards. But I definitely like myself, value myself, and respect myself so much more than I did when I was drinking. When I was drinking, it was an eternal loop of shame. I would drink, I would feel guilty, I would feel shameful, I would regret the things that I said and I did, and it made me feel a whole lot worse about myself. Without alcohol involved, that doesn't happen any longer, and I have time to reflect, to be aware of my behaviours, to think about my actions, and to question my feelings and why I'm feeling a particular way. And as I mentioned, to look at exactly what I need in any challenging moments. That's a wonderful thing, and it's helped me boost my own self-esteem. And I think any work that you can do around improving your sense of self-worth is absolutely essential. There's other videos on my YouTube channel about toxic shame and self-worth. I would highly recommend watching them because toxic shame is very often at the heart of addictive behaviour. The fifth lesson I learned was the importance of finding somebody who was an inspiration to me, somebody who I wanted to be like, somebody who was living the life that I wanted to live. And in the early stages after I quit drinking, that was absolutely crucial. I actually found several people who ran sobriety communities, who had written books and had programs where they were helping people quit drinking. And I felt that I wanted to be just like them. So I aligned myself with them. I learned from the lessons they had learned. I reached out to them. I made friends with some of them, and many of them took me under their wing. They mentored me. They guided me. They gave me advice. They picked me up when I was feeling down. So think about who you want to be like. Who is where you want to be right now that you could reach out to, that you could learn from. You don't necessarily have to connect with them. You can just learn from them. You can watch their experience from the sidelines. You can grab hold of their coattails and emulate their journey and bring those positive aspects into your own life. But I do think it was a real big lesson that I learned to actually have somebody that I wanted to be just like, who was living the life that I wanted to live. The sixth lesson that I learned was that some people just don't get sobriety, and they probably never will. And it's okay. It's okay that some people don't understand it, that they have very strong beliefs that alcohol benefits them, it adds to their lives, and they can't understand why somebody would make a decision not to drink. Well, that's their stuff. It's not in our control. We can't do anything about it. And we should just accept that that's the way those people are. And if we need to set some boundaries about the level of contact we have with them, the number of social events we go to where those people might be there, that's also okay. When we quit drinking, we reclaim the power of choice. We can choose who we want to interact with. We can choose the people, the places, the situations that we want to get involved in. And it's a wonderful thing. Sometimes it can feel hard saying no if we don't want to go along to something, but I'd invite you to start practicing it. Start taking baby steps. Look for opportunities to say no. Look for opportunities to set boundaries, and you will find that it's one of the most liberating and empowering things that you've ever done. And actually, that's the final lesson that I learned. When I was drinking, I found it incredibly hard to say no to anything. Whereas these days, I've found the power to say no. And I know that I don't need to always give a reason for saying no. If I know it's right and I know my decision aligns with my values, then I'm quite happy to speak my truth and decline an invitation or say no to something that might be a threat to my sobriety or go against my values. So know that you will reclaim that power too when you quit drinking. As I mentioned, it can take a bit of time and it can feel challenging, but start to push yourself out of your comfort zone with it. Because when we say yes to others, we often say no to ourselves. And when we're drinking, it can be incredibly difficult to actually speak our truth. And this is one of the most powerful parts of this journey, learning to become truly authentic, to speak your truth, to mean what you say without being mean to other people. It's an incredible thing. There's a video right next to me where we explore some of these concepts in much more depth. You can click on that right now and watch it straight away. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I would love you to be part of this amazing community. And I'll see you on the next video very, very soon.